Hi, I'm Darren and welcome to New Factory Classics. Today we're going to break down Shrek. Let's go back to the year 2001 and discuss the most important thing that happened that year. No, not that. I'm talking about the release of Shrek, back when the world seemed a little bit brighter and a little bit more glittered with gold. Now, Shrek is an ogre that lives alone in the swamp, and he wants to live a solitary life. He just wants to be left alone in his swamp, in his shack, not all that unlike the Unabomber. Now, the local humans are trying to hunt him down. They view him as an ogre that grinds up people's bones to eat them. He ends up scaring them away, but they drop a flyer. It looks like the local lord is offering money for all fairy tale creatures. He wants them out of his kingdom. All the best children's movies start out with a little ethnic cleansing. Now, the next day, all the locals are selling all the fairy tale creatures that they find, including an old woman that's trying to sell a talking donkey. But Donkey escapes the guards and runs into the swamp, where he bumps into Shrek, who scares off the guards. Donkey is so thankful, he just wants to be friends with Shrek, but that goes against Shrek's number one desire of being alone. Donkey begs to come and live with Shrek, and Shrek decides to let Donkey stay there for one night, but Donkey has to sleep outside. His house is only for ogres, eyeballs, eating worms, but no talking donkeys. The next morning, though, Shrek wakes up to hundreds of fairy tale creatures on his front lawn. It seems they've been evicted from all of their houses, and they've all been sent to live at Shrek's house. Yes, Lord Farquaad had kicked them out of their own homes and made them go live at Shrek's swamp, which is not what Shrek wants because, once again, the only thing he likes is being alone. Shrek hates this, and he decides he has to go to talk to Lord Farquaad. He wants everyone out of his swamp. And Donkey agrees. He wants everyone out of their swamp. Now, Lord Farquaad is the leader of the city known as Duloc. He's evil, conniving, and very short. He also is probably angry that he has to run an economy where half of the people are magical beings. Now, Lord Farquaad tells the gingerbread man that he's tired of having all these fairy tale creatures living in his area. They make the place icky and bring down the general population. A very NIMBY attitude for our Lord Farquaad. Now, during the torture scene, Lord Farquaad breaks off the gingerbread man's legs, which goes completely against the Geneva Convention. Lord Farquaad must marry a princess in order to become a king. So, the magic mirror from Sleeping Beauty is brought in order to help him find a princess. And the princess that he picks immediately is Princess Fiona. Now, Princess Fiona is locked away in a tower waiting for her true love to save her. A tournament is to be held to find the champion that will save her on behalf of Lord Farquaad. Yes, Lord Farquaad could never save her himself because he is short. They will never let you forget that Lord Farquaad is short. There are many points in this movie about inner beauty, about finding your true love, but they will not ever let you get past that if you are short, you have no redeemable qualities. Now, when Shrek and Donkey arrive at Duloc, they find it to be almost like a perfect theme park. Everything is clean, everything is tidy, and once Lord Farquaad has his queen, everything will be perfect. Now, Lord Farquaad is disgusted to see an ogre in his town, and he changes up the tournament. The man who kills the ogre gets to be his champion. Now, he may be evil and a racist, but at least he's into meritocracy. Now, Shrek and Donkey take out every person coming after them. Being 8 feet tall and 800 pounds has its advantages, though not if you live at the zoo. After beating everyone, Shrek and Donkey are named the champions, and Lord Farquaad makes him an offer. If Shrek can bring Lord Farquaad Princess Fiona, then he will get the deed to his swamp, and all the other fairy tale creatures will be removed. So Shrek and Donkey are on another adventure. Donkey asks Shrek why he didn't just kill Farquaad. He was able to take out those knights fairly easily. But he doesn't want to be a killing machine. He wants to be a person just like everyone else. Shrek and Donkey eventually make it to the dragon's lair, a castle in the center of a lava pit. Now, the lava is actually eating away at the bottom of the castle, which is absolutely horrible for the structural integrity. Now, Shrek and Donkey are trying to find the princess, but unfortunately they wake up the dragon, and it looks like they have their work cut out for them. Shrek gets thrown through the roof of the tower and lands in Princess Fiona's room, while Donkey, unfortunately, is actually caught by the dragon. He'll have to talk his way out of this one. Luckily for Donkey, dragons are just like human women, and if you compliment their teeth and their scales, they get very happy. Fiona refuses to go with him. She wants her love's first kiss. That's how it's supposed to be. She's supposed to get the love's first kiss before she leaves the room, but Shrek grabs her and they try and escape. Even worse, he hasn't even killed the dragon. Just think about it. He's going through all of this just to get his mortgage paid off. which is still better than the 7% we get these days. The dragon is giving unwanted advances to Donkey. Luckily, Shrek saves him before this movie has to give a production credit to Harvey Weinstein. Now they are being chased by the dragon, but luckily for them, a chandelier falls around the neck of the dragon, which, with the chain being too short, stops the dragon from being able to catch them before she can burn them to death. Well, after escaping the dragon's lair, Fiona demands a kiss. She's supposed to kiss the person who saves her, but Shrek tells her that he's not the one that she's supposed to be kissing. Well, that's weird. I guess her destiny was wrong. All Shrek wants is to get his swamp back, then he can go back to being alone. If she's angry, she can deal with it with Farquaad, but he's going to deliver her right now. Fiona freaks out when she finds out she won't be able to make it to Duloc that night, so she demands to sleep in a cave and nobody look at her. Honestly though, she should be much worse. For someone who lived in a tower her whole life, her social skills aren't that bad. She really ought to be running around yelling, making indistinct dragon noises. That night, Shrek decides to teach Donkey about astronomy, telling him about the ogres of the past and the great deeds they did, really showing that ogres can be more than just smelly, evil monsters. But not short people. Farquaad is short, and short people are evil. This movie will quadruple down on that fact. But Shrek just wants his swamp back. Once this is all done, he's going to put up a wall around his swamp so nobody will ever bother him again. Because everyone always prejudges Shrek, treats him horribly, and is mean to him. He wants to be alone and away from the world. But not Donkey. He's been Shrek's only friend. And maybe that's the true lesson for you kids. If you see a giant, smelly, scary guy who lives in a shack all by himself, go up and introduce yourself and become his new friend. Meanwhile, Farquaad's excited for his upcoming wedding, so he's preparing their living quarters. He's even having Princess Fiona's dress made. If there's one thing ladies like, it's when you make their wedding dress and just give it to them on the day of their wedding without them having seen it. The next morning, Fiona is very apologetic. She's sorry for being rude the day before, she makes them breakfast, and she wants them all to be friends. The group journeys until they are attacked by Robin Hood and his merry men, who for some reason in this movie have French accents, and if there's something the British love is when their heroes are portrayed with French accents. Fiona kicks their butt, and during the fight scene, the screen does that whole freeze and matrix spin, which at the time was a timely reference. Now during the fight, Shrek ends up getting hurt, and Fiona takes care of him afterwards. It seems they may have feelings for each other. Too bad she's a human, and he's an ogre. They decide to stay outside of Duloc one last night before Shrek delivers her to Farquaad. Donkey calls out Shrek for having feelings for Fiona, but not telling her. Shrek admits that he does have feelings for her, but too bad she's a human and he's an ogre. Okay, are you ready for the twist? She's actually an ogre. When Fiona was young, she was cursed by a witch that made her a human during the day and an ogre at night. That's why she's been trying to hide every single evening. Also, apparently her clothing was cursed too, because that changes every night to fit her size. Now, Shrek overhears Fiona telling Donkey about how no human would ever love an ugly ogre. This, of course, leaves him heartbroken, but it's only because he misheard only half of the conversation. If I had $1 for every movie that used this thing where a person half hears a conversation, I'd probably only have $17. That's really 16 times too many, though. Shrek delivers Fiona to Farquaad and gets his swamp back, while Fiona goes off to get married as soon as possible. This is a lesson for you short kings out there. If you're lonely, go find a shut-in that is cursed, and maybe she'll marry you. Shrek is depressed and sad. He lost Fiona, who he loved, but she said all those horrible things about him. Then he insults Donkey and tells him to buzz off. It's time for him to go live alone, because that's the only way he will never get hurt. There's a scene with Shrek returning to his swamp, being lonely and sad, and Fiona preparing for her wedding, being lonely and sad. And also Donkey comes across a lonely and sad dragon. All of them are not having a happy ending. Donkey comes back to the swamp to talk some sense into his friend. Shrek needs to man up, realize he loves Fiona, go to Fiona, and tell her. Too bad they'll never make it to the wedding in time, unless they... Oh, here's an idea. Why don't we ride dragon to get to the wedding? Shout out to everyone in history who rode their best friend's girlfriend to stop a wedding. Shrek bursts onto the scene to tell Fiona that he loves her in time. Farquaad and the rest of the town laugh at this. The idea of an ogre loving a princess is hilarious to them. But before anything else can happen, the sun goes down and Fiona begins to change. He's been tricked to marrying an ogre in a wedding dress, and Farquaad is pissed. He will have both of them arrested and thrown in a dungeon for the rest of their lives. Just then, Donkey and Dragon burst onto the scene, and Dragon eats Farquaad. It looks like the Short King's reign was short. Shrek and Fiona share love's first kiss, and she does transform, but permanently into an ogre. Fiona is devastated. She wanted to become beautiful again, but Shrek lets his love know that she is beautiful. And so the two ogres fell in love, proving that beauty is both on the inside and out, and they lived happily ever after. And also, it looks like Donkey and Dragon will be the next ones to get married. So everyone, let's take a moment to think about how that would physically work, and the implications. For now though, life is finally good and happy for our no longer lonely hero, Shrek. And now I've seen it, so you don't have to. Please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.